Look at that. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
a little early to
It's a
get rolling here, right?
It's okay. I've already been up.
Yes. So, I obviously all good things either, come to you on a walk or in the shower. And so I was on a walk and I was like, one of my favorite kind of series that we've ran with the show, and it was back during the pandemic, and we started Coffee and Coaching, and it was just kind of the beginning of the podcast. I think ended up doing 52 or 53 episodes, and so it was it was really fun, just kind of going as kind of what built the momentum to kind of the episodes and the conversations that are on the podcast now, over 800 episodes in. And I'm like, I really miss those coffee and coaching conversations. And I know how powerful, if we incorporate and tweak it a little bit and put a little hot seat format to it, how good I think, the conversations can be. And I'm like, okay, who would be ideal to kind of re-kick this series off? And I'm like, Robyn's perfect. Let's go.
Hot seat's my favorite place to be in.
That's exactly why I said she's going to be the perfect first guest to restart this, because of how much she just loves the hot seat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So in kind of keeping the hot seat tradition and format, let's kind of kick things off. Give a little bit of kind of origin story, kind of your story, real estate, leading into, you've had a tremendous amount of growth over the last couple of years. And so I think your story of just evolution and growth in a short amount of time is really cool and really inspiring.
Yeah. So I started in real estate in 2004. Kind of just as an extra way to, I was just right out of high school. My uncle had a very successful team in Cincinnati and kind of started there. And when I say I started at the bottom, I really did. I was answering phones on the weekend, and I was, setting showings and faxing paperwork and just doing odds and ends stuff. And over the course of all of these years, it's 22 years later. So every aspect of that business I learned. He mentored me. And in 2010, I got licensed, and I still did a lot of back-end admin work. And I really enjoyed that. Just organization, systems, things like that. I do like that stuff. So I gradually started selling, and about, I would say 5 years ago, I really got heavy into selling, but I was still doing admin work. And my average probably was about 20, then it went up to 30, and I kind of hit a ceiling at 35 at one point. And that's when you and I started talking. And last year I did 76. So, grew that a lot, but I did step out of all of the admin stuff and really just focused on selling.
Do you think that it was just an allocation of your time? Was the ability to really double your business? I mean, you went from 35 to 75 transactions. Mm-hmm. Is it just reallocation of your time and resources that made the jump?
I think maybe just a little, because I wouldn't say that I did very well with managing my time last year during those deals, because that was a very large amount of volume.
Yeah. And massive.
So, but over the course of, we've been coaching together for 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Maybe going on 3. Mm-hmm. You've seen a huge shift from where I was to where I am now. Mm-hmm. I would say too that without having kind of that admin job or that admin backing that I once had, I had to get out there and just pound the pavement and do those deals. So
was it maybe kind of got a little comfortable, got a little bit of, hey, we're good financially, we're good. So there's no reason to, step on the gas a little bit harder.
Yeah, I'm not a huge person for change. So, something that I was so used to for so long, kind of jumping into that full-time, all the time, this is my only source of income type situation. It did for a while. It made me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, puts a lid on what we believe is possible, right? So it's more so, was it a little bit of a confidence thing in like believing in yourself?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah. So fast forward. So obviously kind of origin story coming up, starting at the bottom, essentially, and where you're at today, being able to handle a massive amount of production. What's the future? Like where are we going? What's the vision?
I do enjoy selling real estate just like we all do. We're in it for, just making dreams come true. And, but I definitely want to continue to do that amount of volume. Luckily for me, I have someone that is on my team as a buyer's agent. So I've really utilized him a lot over the last year, and that's helped me, I think, manage and be able to manage that amount of volume. But my goal, we hit that massive goal. And I think I had told you actually last year, that was my goal. And we hit it. But I want to consistently stay there. It's just more of what is a better way to manage my time with that?
Right.
So that's something that I've been working on, and obviously came to the kitchen table, came at a perfect time for me. And just everything that we were doing and looking at, it all just kept pointing back to time.
Is the future, continue to grow revenue? Is it you slinging, 75 to 100 deals a year? Like what's the goal?
My goal obviously is a number goal for, my personal revenue, but, if that means it's 75 deals again, and I hit that number, I'd be happy. If it's 40 deals and I hit that number, I'd be happy with that too. I don't want to, do this till I'm 80. So it's all about, for me, and this stacking cash, from that hard work. And that way I can kind of get closer to, okay, I don't have to go so hard, or, and it's kind of opened up my eyes to a couple new things that I'm venturing into, to maybe kind of take a little slower of a step back from the hustle of, 75 deals a year.
Yeah. An absolute grind. So talk about kind of what's working to get us to, that amount of personal production, you personally handling, 75 transactions. I mean, what's working the best for you to be able to, make that possible?
Definitely having, my counterpart on my team, that is, I couldn't do it without that.
What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
So he is basically a double me. I can't be in two places at once. So like I very much lean into listing sides more than buying sides. So having him, I can kind of move him towards that buying side a little bit more. I can still, I'm still handling the transactions. I'm still negotiating. He's just helping me get people into these homes, and very, I trust him with, all right, giving me kind of a full report back, but it saves me a lot of time. I'm because again, I'm mainly listing heavy, and
Sure.
I have to I have to be personally present for that. So
Right. And I think this is a good, for folks, the lesson here is if you value your time and you want to hit a certain revenue goal, you have to start looking at what pieces of business kind of play into the time constraint. And there's nothing that's going to give you more leverage and more return on your time than motivated sellers. That's just like, I will die on this hill, right? That it is desperate motivated sellers is the greatest return on your time when it comes to working with buyers and sellers. It's not even close. So being able to leverage and have a leverage component to be able to have somebody that can gobble up a lot of that time for you, not you. That's where having an agent being kind of a part of the team, but I think being clear on, not in what some people think as a team, traditional team, there's all kinds of ways to structure the leverage around you. So when we look at kind of the leverage you have based upon kind of the goals and what we're pacing for this year, how much of the business is going to come from you versus coming from him?
I mean, all of the business is going to obviously come from me, but as far as like buyer and seller, we're probably looking at 70% listing side to 30% buying side.
How do you, manage and make that relationship a success, right? To where you enjoy working together and you can, kind of get the best out of, each other in that team dynamic.
So, I compensate him in multiple different ways. Whether it's paying per door or if he has been spending a lot of time with a particular client and I have needed him to write the contract because I'm in the car or I'm doing, I just can't get to it. I'll make the calls and I'll talk to the co-op agent, but he can do kind of all of the legwork. If that's the case, then I will typically bring him into the actual deal and compensate him a little bit more. And that seems to work for us. I don't know that would work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would say that we have a structure, but it's kind of deal dependent.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seems to work for us. So
do you have like a menu of the compensation packages, or is it just kind of dependent upon the situation, or do you got something
it's really
pretty structured?
Dependent on the situation. And he's the only one that I offer this to. He's the only one that I do this with. Of course, if he's not available, I do within my organization, I do have other people I can count on too if I really got in a pinch, but he's kind of like my lifeline. So
yeah. So like when you look at kind of setting the agreement and the standards, like what's that agreement when you have a team member of, hey, this is kind of the standard, this is how we handle things, this is success. What does that look like, in this dynamic?
We obviously have a very loose, agreement. And again, it's all very dependent, but I would say, we always discuss, like, I definitely always ask him, how are you feeling? He's shown this person 50 houses, at that point, it doesn't make sense for me to pay him $50 per door.
Sure.
So we kind of cap it at 10.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's more than 10 doors, then he gets brought on to that deal, no matter what.
Gotcha. So is the structure a little more loose because it's more your style or it's more his availability?
Probably a little bit of both.
Gotcha.
But it's more my style.
Uh-huh.
We set a number for that per door. And, we frequently go back to that and make sure, hey, is that still a good is that still acceptable? And, I check in with him quite a bit, because he is very valuable to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just need to make sure that he remains, happy, and not overloading him. When I was just recently out of town for 10 days, and, he was here for me those whole 10 days. And he was busy.
Yeah.
So, constant checking in with him, like, all right, how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
You were out all day yesterday. How do you feel today?
What are the most important, like, character traits, values that you look in that are like a hard non-negotiable for you when it comes to relationships and people that you work with? Like, what are like the non-negotiable character traits and the things like this is a deal killer if you don't, if you don't, like, if this is not who you are?
Definitely organization is a huge thing, because that's how I am. And that's something that within him, like, we are very much aligned on, and how we schedule. Also just the social aspect of being with clients and being able to talk to them, keep them calm, because not everything is easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
But and work ethic too.
Yeah.
You can easily see that. And he's been with me long enough that I can see that in him. And I saw that right away, which is why I feel like I put so much time into him, and mentoring him, and, teaching him just the same way that I was taught, on how to do real estate.
Yeah.
And he picked up on that very quickly.
Gotcha. Is that something, kind of common, that you see even with admin support, other business relationships? I mean, those are kind of the non-negotiables that you look for any type of relationship.
Yeah. And consistency.
Yeah. How, especially in this business, right? With the ebbs and flows.
As in, consistency of just how clients are handled, always, being available, because we don't have a set schedule. So I don't know. With him, I do know I have support there.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of stress off of me, which is the goal of where I'm trying to head.
Yeah, absolutely. So, shifting to kind of the final piece of the hot seat, right? You want that a little bit of a kind of a backstory, a little bit of an origin story, a little bit of kind of where we're at, what's the team dynamic structure, where are we going, what are we excited about in the future, what's working well, what's got us up to this point, what are we excited about moving into the future, and then that third and final part, right? That really kind of makes it the hot seat format is, the biggest rock in your shoe. What's the biggest bottleneck? What's the biggest constraint? We operate under theory of constraints. That's just how we look at everything out ahead of us. Once we have our goals and our targets, what's the constraint that's slowing us down from getting there? And, there's a lot of value and benefits from hot seat formats. We always say, the preparation and thinking about kind of the format is the most valuable piece, right? Because you're thinking through, you're reflecting, and it gives us a level of awareness, right? Like a fish doesn't know it's in water until it's not in water, and it's like, oh snap, what is this? So it's that level of awareness going through the process. But when we operate under theory of constraints, there's only a couple major constraints, right? It's going to be in the attraction, traffic, consistent leads. There's your word, consistency. Then it's going to be in a conversion component, right? You have attraction, leads, then you got consistent conversion, consistent sales, right? That's happening. And then there's the consistency in fulfilling the promise, right? We know a lot of marketers, especially, that are great at making promises, but marketing is also about keeping promises and being able to get results, because that's all people want. And the track record, your production speaks for itself, right? I mean, as a solo agent, doing north of 50 transactions, let alone 75 and pushing, is absolutely remarkable as a solo agent. And so it's consistency in the results. Then you've got like a retention piece where you're keeping clients, and then, referrals, right? What are we consistently doing to be able to attract referrals back into the business? So somewhere in our business and our life, there's a constraint. And so that's essentially kind of what we do is we build little flashlights to be able to find where the constraint is. And then once we find it, we can shine a light on it, because what we reveal, we can heal. And that's the power of going through the hot seat format, and is really identifying that bottleneck. So for you, kind of going through this process, like, where is the current bottleneck for you right now?
This is always a really hard question for me, because I have consistency. I don't always feel like I have a constraint. That's where a lot of these things that I've done with you in the past, I have to kind of I have to go back through those to try to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't, a lot of the times I don't feel, I don't have a conversion problem. I don't have an inconsistent, source of where my business is coming from. It's always kind of stayed pretty steady and flow. Mm-hmm. Because all of it is referral based. And so, and fortunately for me, that's, but so I never really feel like I have a hard time with retention either. So I've always been pretty good at staying in touch with my clients, and, and then those are where those consistent referrals are coming from. So, but I would say if I had a constraint right now, it is that with my agent on the team, I do feel a little inconsistent there with keeping him full of buyers. That market is pretty quiet right now. So maybe that is where I have the bottleneck, just keeping him busy enough on that side, because that is the only side that he does. So I would say that. And when I was at Kitchen Table looking at all of this, like I said, everything just kept pointing to time. So, I'm a mom. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and real estate's hard in that regard, just because you have to be ready to go all of the time. But I'm really trying to time block and help myself with being better at that. And so I would say, like, personally, that's probably a bottleneck for me.
Yeah, and it is for a lot of folks. So when you think about kind of like what we talked about, theory of constraints, that typically comes in secondary to what is the main objective. And within our business, there's only 3 objectives. We either want more revenue, we want more profit, or we want more freedom. And you say, okay, well, revenue and profit, aren't those the same? And it's like, no, they are different, in that sometimes we've got good revenue, but maybe our expenses are bloated a little bit. Maybe we've got things on the P&L that are not, producing, giving us a return, and maybe we just lost sight. So maybe we need to play defense a little bit and just clean up some of the things that are going out that are not working. And just by making those adjustments and maintaining the revenue, there's going to be more profit. And then you go, well, coach, like, I mean, my expenses are locked in. I don't really have any bloat. Everything we're spending is working. And so, okay, well, then we need more revenue. So what are all of the plays that we can run to drive more revenue? And then that third one is like, hey, we're good. We're on pace. We're hitting our targets. We're hitting our profitability targets. We're actually ahead of, we actually are more profitable. But my freedom is gone. I want more freedom. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So sometimes we have to invest for more freedom and invest in leverage or invest in wealth vehicles that are going to kick off a revenue that we're not trading time for dollars. That can drive revenue, but also is giving us more freedom because maybe we only have to do 42 deals instead of 73 to hit our financial goals. That gives us more time. You already made the shift to I am a dominant listing expert, right? Like you have that belief in yourself that you dominate the listing side. And the reason I dominate the listing side is because it gives me the greatest return on my time working in this business. There's nothing that's going to give me a greater time. So sometimes we look at, think of theory of constraints, sometimes in a bad light, right? Oh, it's a bottleneck. It's slowing us down. And it could just be, no, I just want more time. Everything's working well. I want more time. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the trade-off for that time that you want to get back? And you've already done it, right? An example is bringing somebody in to help the time-consuming activities, be it showing buyers, typically is the time-consuming activity in this business. You've already got administrative support. So it's starting to look at the leverage piece is probably the biggest piece for you right now in being able to get more time. So when we think about the time allocation, then that's where we start looking at, okay, do we know exactly our conversion metrics? Do we exactly know, how many clients we need to hit our goal? And what are all the ways to increase that average ticket price so that we can shed some deals, right? So what I mean by that is, are you charging a wage? Are you charging a fee that is in alignment to the value you provide and the problems you solve, right? So hold tight on your, commission, hold tight on your transaction fees, and then being a little more intentional on that average sales price, right? Especially in tough markets, where are the properties moving? And listen, people with money, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. If they have a desire or a pain, they're going to make the thing happen. And most of the time when you get into the higher price points and the affluent, it's more of a desire piece. So finding that desire for them is super important. So I think it's just thinking through all of the leverage points for you to be able to get more freedom. How disciplined are you being and how structured are you being in your calendar? Do you know exactly how many new clients you need to bring on each month? Do you know exactly how many appointments you need to go on each month in order to hit your goals? That's where we have to start, right? So once the P&L always tells the story, but we've got good revenue, we've got good profits. And for you, you're just fighting. Your biggest constraint is time. I want more time.
Yeah. And and to that, really, even though I have a person, that helps me a ton, looking into a VA to take something else away and to take something else and get that off my plate, which is social media. So, and as I mentioned, like I am venturing into something that brings me joy and has brought me joy with another colleague and friend of mine, and very excited about that. So having the agent, working towards getting this VA for the social aspect of that, because it's really just not my thing. And it does take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So again, everything was always pointing back to that time, and so that I can dive into another piece of essentially real estate, but a little slower paced. And that, it's not going to make me what a listing commission will, and I'll consistently stay, doing that, but just something to take me away a little bit and put me into a different aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So the VA thing is I've always thought about it. Obviously we've talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of evolved now that we have, over the course of the last year, you and I, while coaching, have really honed in on what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So it's kind of all coming full circle at this point, but that's my next move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And I think that's a great lesson, is looking at where your time's going and things that you're doing that, you should have no business doing, right? What are the things that should come off my plate that's time consuming, that, I'm C- at best, right? If I even pull this off, I'm going to get a C- at best grade. Probably don't need to be doing it to be able to, get a greater return on your time. And for you, it's just, how can I shed some hours and still maintain, the production and the revenue? So we got to do it through leverage. And obviously the audit that we go through is you got to audit your calendar, audit your time. Where's that time being spent? And then, the kind of the filter that we run it through is like, okay, can AI help us with this? Can a VA help us with this? Can a VA and AI help us with this? Do we need somebody fractional, or do we need somebody full-time, right? That's the filter and the order that you run decisions through. And for you, you're like, let's go VA. We're going to arm them with AI, and they're going to be able to, 10x the amount of output that I was doing, because that's what their focus is. Mm-hmm. I think the other lesson, for you, and we're talking about getting more freedom and the decision of what so adamant about with our real estate business is that your business is never going to be worth anything that's going to be able to sell, right? It's never really going to be a very sellable asset. You can maybe do a referral kickoff on your database, for a period of time, but you really don't have, you're not going to get a 7-8 figure payday on your real estate business. 99.9% of people, it's never going to happen. So if that's true, then how do you utilize this vehicle to unlock other opportunities? We talk about, real estate investments, right? Flips, rentals, multifamily stuff that you get a little bit of insider knowledge. But the other component that, like, I just push on people that to really be thinking about, but it's always about the who, is other ancillary businesses that the real estate industry feeds, right? We feed, title, we feed mortgage, we feed insurance companies, we feed all of these other businesses. We should be getting something in return. And one of the components of a value add is also the staging side of things. And that's, the avenue that you're going down. And I would just caution anybody, kicking off and starting these other businesses, you just got to find a who. It's always about finding the who to be able to align with. And then once you have that who, then game on. Mm-hmm. And you've done that really well. And I'm really excited about that new adventure that you guys are, going down, that your real estate businesses are going to feed. And it just makes sense. So that's another, kind of something for folks to be thinking about is, I'm feeding these other companies. How can I get, a piece of that pie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. So how was the hot seat?
I watched a lot of these, and the whole time I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. I'm not, I just am not, you've seen me in the flesh right in front of you doing it. I think my whole body was shaking the whole time. And it's not easy. It's still not easy on a Zoom, but, I think I may not have certain things that other agents have or what they do in their business. I just know what works for me. And I know that I've always stayed consistent to my business, my clients, and that keeps coming. So going from where I started to where I am now is a huge jump. And like I had said, just coaching with you, you have seen so much change in that time. I don't think you ever thought that we would probably get to this point, but coaching with you it's changed my business, and it's changed my life. So and even more so in the last 8 months, 9 months, probably.
Yeah. It takes getting to a point to where you have some proof for yourself, right? And that's where you start to see the wins yourself, and that's where the confidence builds. Mm-hmm. And, getting to confidence always starts with a commitment. And so you committing to this path, committing to this business, and then having the courage to do the thing, right? The courage to get on the hot seat, the courage to listen to feedback, the courage to make decisions and changes, and just having that while you develop the skill set required for you to achieve your goals and to believe what's possible. And then just, staying tuned into the wins. And that's where that confidence will continue to build. And I will say that's the biggest growth and jump for you over the years, is just seeing your confidence continue to grow, and, the new endeavors. And you've got a very exciting and a very big future ahead of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. And you crushed it. Appreciate you stepping into the hot seat. And I know excited to kick off the coffee and coaching series again. So I can't thank you enough. You guys out there, listening in, if you got any feedback or anything for Robyn, be sure to connect or throw your feedback or comments wherever you're catching this episode. And we'll see you the next time on Coffee and Coaching. Robyn, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Bye.
See you. Bye.